Hey, what's up guys, it's Caleb Bakes01 back again for a Tracklist ranking episode. Today's tracklist that we will be breaking down and ranking is from the band Beartooth and their debut album from 2014 being Disgusting. Yes, Beartooth is a band that we have featured before in this series. I covered their third studio album Disease in the past, and ever since doing that album I have had my fingers crossed to hopefully coming across this album and covering it for you guys in this series. I knew it would be a hard tracklist ranking, but a fun one. This is my favourite album from this band, so I was just happy to finally get it. I guess it wasn't too long of a wait, but happy I get to cover it for you guys in today's episode. If you want to know my thoughts on this album as a whole, I have also done my random album review on this album, so I will link that in the description below. That's if you just want to know, as I said, my thoughts on the album as a whole and what I rank it out of 10. But of course in this series, this is where we get the track list and rank it from my least favourite song to my favourite song, talk about them a little bit. So as I said, this was a extremely hard list to do this time around because a lot of the songs are really fucking solid efforts, guys. And how I normally start off a track list ranking is I just rank the songs from what I think will be my favourite to least favourite. And from there I listen to the album, so many times, and the songs either move up or down or stay in place, whatever. Normally there's a lot of moving around because, some songs I haven't listened to for a while and I go, fuck, that was really fucking good, or some songs I remember being pretty solid, drop. So normally there's a lot of moving around. From my initial list, there was only 3 changes, which, I don't know, for some people that might sound about right, but for what I normally do, that was very, very little, because every time a song moved down, it just moved up again, or vice versa. Every time a song went up, it just moved down again. I just couldn't fucking figure out where I wanted these songs to go in this tracklist ranking, so eventually I got to a point where I'm like, fuck it, I think my initial list is right. So as I said, very little changes, only 3 overall, so I'm going to stop beating around the bush. I'm going to get into this tracklist ranking. It is a tracklist of 12 songs. If you are familiar with the album, starts with track 1, The Lions, to track 12, Sick and Disgusting. So let's get underway. Coming in at my least favourite song on the album at number 12. Coming in at my number 12 is the closing track of the album being Sick and Disgusting. This is one of only 2 blemishes on the album, honestly, and obviously this one being the weaker of the 2. I would have preferred a more fast-paced / epic song to close the album. I do appreciate this song for the message and the emotion that Caleb Shomo, the vocalist, shows in this one, but at the end of the day, I just feel like it's a weak song. It's a little bit slow. It's not a terrible song. I don't think there are any genuinely bad songs on this album, but of course, in this tracklist ranking, there has to be a last place. So coming in at my last place is the closing song on this album being Sick and Disgusting. The track Dead comes in at my number 11, and again, as I said, this is one of 2 blemishes on the album. One of the weaker tracks, but obviously being better than Sick and Disgusting. Where this one has the edge over Sick and Disgusting is I feel like this song just packs a little bit more energy. However, again, compared to the other 10 tracks that I have coming forward, this one is a bit of a step down and a lot weaker. Again, at least both tracks fall towards the back of the album, so if you want to listen from tracks 1 to 10, you're going to have a pretty solid time, but again, as I said, some songs just need to fall at the back. There are 2 blemishes on this album. This one is one better than the other, so my number 11 on this tracklist ranking is the track Dead. Staring at the ground while I'm walking lately. Haven't seen the sun in a week and it's calling me. Depression has its grip. So from here on, all of the songs, as I said, are pretty solid efforts, so it was really hard to move spots around from here, but coming in at my number 10 is Ignorance is Bliss. Now, this is one of the 3 changes I made. This did drop down a spot, but to no fault of its own. I just liked the song that I swapped around with this one a little bit more, but this song is still really fucking solid. just packs a lot of energy, a lot of replay value. As I said, I have no real criticisms to this song. It is maybe just obviously a little bit weaker than the other 9 I have coming forward, but still a really solid effort. It is track 6, so it falls about halfway through this album, but couldn't recommend it enough. I still see a lot of people having this in their top 3 possibly, or favourite song. I wouldn't argue that fact. Just for me, it has to fall somewhere, so it is my number 10, Ignorance is Bliss. Relapsing is my number 9, and as I said, this was originally below Ignorance is Bliss, but the reason why I moved it up over that song was purely the enjoyment I get from the energy from this song, especially in the chorus. Those fucking drums that come in with those really fucking cool beats and the screaming vocals, oh my gosh, this fucking song, I didn't remember it being this fucking good, but as I said, I couldn't have it at my number 10. Yes, it only moved up 1 spot, but I had to have it above Ignorance is Bliss. Again, a really fucking solid effort. This is a really hard track list ranking. I'm having trouble justifying why these songs are so low, but coming in at my number 9 is the track Relapsing. Coming in for my number 8 is the track Keep Your American Dream. Originally, when I first came across this album, this was one of my favourite songs, but I feel like over time it has lost a little bit of its momentum. However, it is probably the most refreshing song on this album, as it is probably the lightest song. It features the least amount of screaming, features obviously the most clean vocals out of any song on this album. So in that way, as I said, I feel like it's a lot more refreshing. The extreme instrumentals is stripped back a little bit more. Obviously still a fast-paced song with lots of energy, but it's a lot more tamer than the other songs on this album, which, as I said, you'll find a little bit more refreshing. Still packs a punch with how fucking catchy it is, still has lots of replay value, and honestly, this is probably one of 2 songs I find to be really fucking underrated. When people talk about this album, honestly, I hear a lot of people say that this is one of the weaker songs here, but I just don't see it. As I said, over time it has dropped down a little bit, but still one I can come back and enjoy at any time. So coming in at my number 8 is Keep Your American Dream. One More is the second of 3 songs that I swapped around on this list. Originally it was lower, but I had to move it up again, purely just by how much I found myself singing this chorus. Even when I wasn't listening to the album, I was just walking around and going, one more song, give me, and I'm like, what the fuck, like, what is that song? And I'm like, one more. It just kept coming into my head. As I said, even when I wasn't listening to the album, and then when I was, I found myself sort of tapping along, waiting for one more to come on, and every time I did, I fucking just belted out that chorus. This song has so much fucking replay value, could be one of the best choruses on this album. I'm not gonna quite lock that in, but a really fucking strong effort. So coming in at my number 7 is the track One More. Me in My Own Head comes in at my number 6, and this is a song that I feel like I have a connection with lyrically more than some of the other songs here. I think we can all relate with sometimes you just have your own struggles that are all in your head, and that's something that sometimes I relate to, and this is a song that, as I said, I relate to lyrically a little bit more than some of the other songs on this album, but overall still a really fucking solid effort. As I said, this is a really hard track list ranking. I'm having trouble justifying why songs that I'm thinking back and really fucking loving are only at, for example, 6. This is a really fucking solid effort, but obviously I have 5 more that I like ahead of this, so let's get into my number 5 now. Coming in at my number 5 is the track Body Bags, and I'm not going to beat around the bush. There is no real deep meaning to why this is at my number 5 position. I don't really overly connect to the lyrics that much. There is no deep meaning to why this one is my number 5, other than this song really fucking packs a punch and is a fucking ball of hype. This song packs so much energy and is so fucking catchy. The amount of pace it comes in, this is a fucking heavy hitting track, but as I said, it doesn't really deliver too much in the lyrics. There is no deeper meaning to this song for me other than just how much it hypes me up, and I find this song to be so fucking badass. The chorus is extremely catchy. I feel like it just fucking flies by, but it is so fucking awesome. So as I said, I don't have any deep meaning to why this song is at my number 5, but that's where it's fallen for this one. So let's get into my number 4 now. Coming in at my number 4 is the song I Have a Problem. Now, along with Keep Your American Dream, this could be the most underrated song on this album, potentially. This song just has so fucking much replay value. It has this energy that builds over time. It takes 2 minutes, almost 2 minutes, to get into the first chorus of this song. And it just builds up, teases it in front of you. And then once it finally gets there, it rewards you with what could be the best fucking chorus on this album. It almost hurts the song that it takes so long to get into the choruses, because as I said, the choruses are fucking outstanding. So much replay value. This is one of the most rewarding songs on this album. As I said, just builds up through the verses, teases you, rewards you with that chorus. This song is so fucking badass. I couldn't praise it enough. I feel like this is probably the strongest song on the second half of this album. It really is such a heavy hitter. But now let's get into my top 3. Into my top 3 now, and coming in at my number 3 is the opening track, The Lines. Now, this song is the perfect way to open the album. It is a shot of adrenaline, sets the pace for majority of the album, honestly. And again, another song that I feel like I connect to lyrically. I especially like the lyric, "Tell you I'll be fine, still want you by my side. Please just try to read between the lines," because, you know, they're 2 lines that counteract each other, but just please read between the lines, people. I feel like that relates to me sometimes, but again, just such a heavy hitter, a song that packs so much adrenaline, and as I said, sets the pace for what you can expect for the remainder of the album, or majority of the remainder of the album. Such a cool way to open this album. I know a lot of people, this is their favourite track, and as I said, I couldn't argue for any of the songs on this album if someone said it's their favourite, because so many of them are heavy hitters. But as I said, this was a hard track list ranking. This is my number 3. I'm going to keep it like that. It could probably change over time, but let's get into my number 2. Coming in at my number 2 is track number 2, Beaten in Lips. Now, this song, with the type of message that it has that keep holding on, we can rise against this, you know, we can fight through this, we're better than this. It has that message, and a lot of the times with those sort of songs, it can come across as cringy or disingenuous or, you know, honestly cheesy. But this is how you fucking write a song with that message. It doesn't come across like that at all. It fucking hits the mark that it's trying to, and the song is fucking badass. This is the perfect way you pull off that type of message in a song. As I said, a lot of the time it's cheesy. You can tell that the artist doesn't really fucking care, but this song passes on that message so fucking well. And on top of that, it's extremely catchy again. The hooks and choruses, so well written, and overall it just makes it such a fucking solid song. So again, such a hard track list ranking. This could have been my number 1 just on any other day. If you ask me my track list ranking for this album, you know, in a week's time it could be totally different, but we're gonna finally get into my number 1 now, so stick around for that. Let's get into it now. And now coming into my number 1 was the first song I had ever heard from Beartooth, and especially obviously off this album, being the track In Between. Obviously still fucking holds up. This song is such an epic and extremely fucking catchy. Every time I hear this song, it's honestly just not fucking skippable. I just turn it up every time, sing along, often go back, restart it again, and just experience the whole thing again. This was such a good introduction to the band for me. As I said, I remember coming across this song, being my first ever taste of Beartooth, and that's what got me sucked into this Beartooth rabbit hole. Came across this album, locked me in. 3 albums after this one later, I'm still in love with the band, and I can thank this song for it. So, as I said, not many changes happened to this list. I had this one initially at my number 1. Praise to it and managed to stay there. So that is my track list ranking for Beartooth's album from 2014, Disgusting. I'm beating a dead horse by saying this right now, but as I've said so many times, this track list ranking was extremely fucking hard to do. So many of the songs heavy hitters, and as I said, every time one moved up, it would move back down, or one moved down, it would go back up. From my initial list, there was very little changes, but that is just a credit to the track list, and what a great album that the band had put together. Really fucking solid effort. Again, if you want to know my thoughts on this album as a whole, go check out my random album review. I will link it in the description below. And of course, let me know your thoughts on the tracks as well. Feel free to let me know in the comments. Let me know what your favourite songs in this album are, or just your favourite Beartooth songs in general. And soon enough, guys, I will have some more content coming your way. But thank you for joining me for another tracklist ranking, and I will see you guys again very soon. Peace.